You ever wonder what really happens behind the flashing cameras, the red carpets, and the perfect Instagram posts? Most people think celebrities live a glamorous life, untouchable, untarnished, and entirely separate from the real world. But what if I told you that some of the stories you've never heard are darker than anything you've ever imagined? Tonight on Nightmare Chronicles, we are going deep into the chilling world of celebrity horror, real-life encounters, unexplained happenings, and moments so strange they almost defy belief. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear will make you look at fame, fortune, and the people we idolize in an entirely new light. And before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Our first story takes us to a quiet Hollywood mansion, a place that seemed perfect for retreating from the chaos of fame. A well-known actor, one of the brightest stars of the early 2000s, had just wrapped up a blockbuster. To celebrate, he invited a few close friends over for a small gathering. Everything seemed normal at first, the champagne, the laughter, the music, but late into the night, the atmosphere shifted. It started with a whisper. At first, no one could locate the source. Then the doors began to slam on their own, and cold drafts swept through rooms with all the windows closed. One friend swore he saw a shadow standing in the corner, tall, thin, completely still, but every time anyone approached, it vanished. By the time the sun rose, the actor was pale, exhausted, and refused to talk about what had happened. Rumors say he later sold the mansion, unable to endure another night. Next, we go to the story of a famous pop singer who was touring in Europe. Fans were everywhere, paparazzi constantly flashing cameras, but inside her hotel room, she experienced something no amount of security could prevent. The first sign was subtle. Items moved around her suite without explanation. Her clothing would vanish only to reappear in odd places, and faint laughter echoed in empty corridors. One night, she awoke to find someone, or something, standing at the foot of her bed, completely silent, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. She tried to scream, but no sound came out, and when morning came, the room was exactly as it had been, nothing disturbed. Security reports were filed, but every investigation came back with no explanation. The singer never spoke publicly about it, but those close to her say she still sleeps with every light on. Then there's the chilling tale of a legendary actor, known for playing heroes on screen, who became the victim of a stalker that was far more sinister than anyone imagined. This wasn't a typical obsessed fan. This presence seemed otherworldly. He reported hearing footsteps in empty hallways, seeing faces in mirrors that weren't his own, and experiencing scratches on his skin without explanation. One night, after returning from a film premiere, he found his living room rearranged in a way he would never do himself. Chairs faced inward, pictures flipped upside down, and a strange symbol drawn on the wall in what looked like ash. Even with high-tech security cameras, nothing was ever captured, like whoever, or whatever, was invisible to the modern eye. Friends who visited say they felt uneasy immediately, a suffocating tension they couldn't shake, as though the house itself was alive. Some stories involve groups, not just individuals. A famous band, at the height of their fame in the 1990s, rented a secluded studio in the woods to record their latest album. They wanted isolation, no distractions, just music. But the forest seemed to have other plans. Instruments would detune themselves overnight. Eerie sounds of whispers and faint screams leaked through the walls, and one night, all 5 members swore they saw a figure in black standing outside the window, completely still, watching them for hours. Panic set in, tempers flared, and equipment was destroyed. Yet nothing could explain the source. After just 3 nights, they abandoned the studio and refused to speak about it for decades. Even today, fans speculate that some of the haunting energy seeped into the tracks themselves, explaining the unnerving tone of that album. Actors aren't the only ones haunted. A world-renowned talk show host once encountered something deeply disturbing during a late-night taping. Everything seemed normal, cameras rolling, audience clapping, but behind the scenes, crew members reported a strange presence lingering just out of view. The host said he often felt a chill run down his spine, and one day while reviewing footage he noticed something chilling. A dark, almost shadowy figure moving in the background of live recordings vanishing before anyone could point it out. Guests claimed to feel watched, uncomfortable, and a few even cancelled tapings. Attempts to rationalize it failed. The figure appeared too deliberately, too sentient, to be dismissed as coincidence. Sometimes, the horror isn't supernatural. It's the obsession of fans gone too far. One beloved actress received a package on her doorstep, ordinary at first glance. Inside, however, was a doll, eerily resembling her as a child, dressed in her favorite color. There was a note that read only, "I know your secrets." That same night, she woke up to hear a soft knocking at her bedroom window. Security found no intruder. Authorities were called, warnings issued, yet no one was ever caught. To this day, she avoids living alone and travels with security, a precaution she says she wishes she never had to consider. Even social media hasn't shielded celebrities from horror. A famous influencer received cryptic DMS from an unknown account. They included precise details of her daily life, even locations she hadn't shared publicly. But the final message, the one that made her freeze, read, "I see you when you sleep." Cameras installed, security firms hired, all investigations returned nothing. Sleep became impossible. Friends say the influencer moved multiple times, always feeling the same sense of eyes on her, shadowing her life. And while the story sounds like a nightmare straight out of a movie, she confirms it's frighteningly real. Another story involves a legendary musician who, after decades of fame, bought a historic estate with a dark past. Soon after moving in, instruments played on their own, piano keys depressed spontaneously, and strange music echoed through the halls at all hours. Family members reported seeing figures in mirrors and shadows that moved against the light. The musician tried to dismiss it as stress, but late one night, a visitor claimed to see someone, or something, float across the main hall, whispering in a language no one recognized. The musician later admitted to Nightmare Chronicles that the estate changed the way he viewed the world, and he sometimes wondered if the fame that brought him joy also invited forces he couldn't comprehend. What is most terrifying about these stories isn't just the supernatural or the stalkers. It is how public life amplifies the horror. Being in the spotlight doesn't protect you, it exposes you. A famous comedian once laughed off experiences of shadows moving across his hotel rooms, only to finally break down when he realized the figures sometimes mirrored his own reflection, twisting it into something grotesque, something angry. Fans see the smiling, joking persona, but behind closed doors, the terror was real. And the truth is, this isn't limited to individuals. Entire sets, shows, and tours have been abandoned because of experiences no one could explain. Crew members report hearing things captured on set cameras that vanish upon review, objects moving as if directed by invisible hands, and cold presences that seem almost sentient. In some cases, famous directors and producers who dismiss superstition outright are forced to reconsider when incidents pile up. Nightmare Chronicles has heard first-hand accounts of places where cameras were rolling, but the footage never captured the full horror, leaving only those present with memories that haunt them forever. So, what's the takeaway here? Fame, fortune, and the glamorous lifestyle we idolize may mask a darker truth. Celebrities, public figures, influencers, they're human, vulnerable, and in some cases, targets of forces beyond their understanding. They're trapped in lives that millions watch, yet those closest to them know the strange, terrifying stories that don't make headlines. And the scariest part? You never know what's real until you experience it, or until you hear it firsthand, like tonight on Nightmare Chronicles. If you've enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a story that will keep you awake at night. And I want to hear from you. Comment below with the story that freaked you out the most, or share any experiences you've had that felt unexplainable. Share this video with friends if you dare. They might sleep a little less tonight. The world of fame is alluring, but as you've just heard, it's also a doorway to horror in ways most of us will never understand. So next time you see your favorite celebrity smiling in a magazine or on a screen, remember, sometimes, behind the brightest lights, shadows linger. And some of those shadows have a story that Nightmare Chronicles will always tell.